Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new elite family of woods and irons from Callaway.
Pros and their amateur partners will play Pebble Beach golf links and Spyglass Hill golf course for the first 2 days of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am before the final 2 rounds are held exclusively at Pebble. And while few players have come out of the gate like Jordan Spieth, 11 wins in his first 5 seasons. That includes 3/4 of the career Grand Slam. Remember, Spieth is only missing the PGA Championship. But since 2018, his career has taken a bit of a downturn. Inconsistency, and recently, as we know, that significant wrist injury has plagued his game. Just 2 wins since his victory at the 2017 Open Championship. So Jordan Spieth will make his debut this week at a place he has got a great track record at. So let's head out there live where we find our very own Todd Lewis for more at Pebble Beach.
Well, and Jordan Spieth had wrist surgery to repair a torn tendon sheath in his left wrist the Wednesday after his last PGA Tour event, which was the FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis. He started to rehab and from a golf perspective started hitting Nerf balls in November. But in December, he was cleared by doctors to start hitting real full shots with golf balls and then played his first round in late December as well. He has continued to rest and rehab and practice, and now he is excited about his first start on the PGA Tour for 2025. He was very cautious in coming back. As he said earlier today, no one has ever gotten hurt from coming back too late from an injury, but he understands that he has to play well here this week because he is not qualified for signature events for the remainder of the season.
You know, I think shortest term is to feel like I get through these 3 weeks and I feel as good or better than I did when I started as far as physically. That's kind of a not very exciting goal, but one that would mean a lot. And then, I'd love to work myself into contention before the Masters, at least once. And then, maybe a lofty goal this year would be to make the Ryder Cup team. I don't have a lot of points off of last season, so given the level of competition on the American side, it's on the points list. I'm going to have to do some really, really good things in some really big tournaments. So that would be kind of an ultimate kind of year-end goal for this year, would be to make that team. And then a lot of this has been kind of a 10-year outlook. I think if I try to make this year coming back from this, a must play well, I'm just going to get frustrated because, even though it was a while ago, I haven't really been playing, golf and obviously competitively, but even playing, I haven't played many rounds since mid-August just because of the process. So, I think looking at it from a long-term view as I step on the first tee, take it shot by shot, but, let's settle in, let's get fully healthy and get some of these shots off these hanging lot, just playing is very different from hitting a lot of balls off mats. And so trying to adjust to that is more short-term with kind of a long-term back of my mind view of, maybe I got 10 years of hopefully similar schedules and set some goals for some wins and some contending in majors and stuff like that.
Now, as I mentioned, Jordan Spieth is not in all of the signature events for 2025 because he did not make it to the BMW Championship last season. He is in the field here this week on a sponsor's invitation. And with that wrist issue last year, he often would protect his left wrist and create some bad habits in his swing. I was watching him work with Cameron McCormick today on his swing, his coach, and he's swinging with a lot of freedom. He feels confident where his game is right now. And as you mentioned, Anna, he loves Pebble Beach. So don't be surprised if Jordan Spieth has a great week.
And Pebble Beach loves him, as do so many golf fans out there. Todd, speaking of which, that's inside the ropes with Jordan Spieth, but outside of the ropes, the tour continues to try and create ways to keep fans engaged with their product. That is a huge priority for them. I know you were invited to a tour meeting today on exactly that subject. What did you learn?
Well, I learned a lot, actually. The PGA Tour has a real positive initiative to put a fan-forward product out to make the PGA Tour the best it can possibly be. It actually polled 50,000 fans to get some feedback from them, and the Tour also did some research. Now, the meeting was held by Tyler Dennis, who is the Chief Competitions Officer, Gary Young, who is the Senior Vice President of Rules and Competition for the PGA Tour, and Andy Whites, who is the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. A lot of things they talked about. For instance, one of the things they talked about, possible change to the Tour Championship format that has been reported that it could be a match play format. That could come to a vote as early as next month, and if it's approved, this new change would be implemented this season. But the two main things that came out of the meeting from this research and from the polling of the fans was two things that fans want to improve. Number one, the broadcast enhancement, and you may have seen this if you've watched some of our PGA Tour coverage where we have walk and talk interviews with players during the round, where we also talk about the cut on Friday. So there's been some enhancements from a broadcasting perspective that will continue. But the other issue that fans want to improve or see improved is the speed of play for the players out there. And there are some things that the PGA Tour are doing right now to try to increase that. Number one, you may have noticed on the TGL broadcast that they have a shot clock. Oh, that's very interesting to the PGA Tour, but the Tour has its own version of a shot clock that we just don't see. It is called the average stroke time. They know what the average stroke time for every player is on the PGA Tour, and they've used that data to talk to the slower players to try to help them be a little faster while competing out here on the PGA Tour. Over the next few months, actually starting in March, there will be multiple tournaments where the PGA Tour will test out players and caddies using distance measuring devices or range finders. So we will see that happen beginning in March as well. And there is a real possibility that the PGA Tour may actually be more transparent with the information in regards to players that may be slow out on the PGA Tour. They may put out their average stroke times, or if there are fines that have been levied to players by the PGA Tour because of slow play or other things, that might be made public as well. That has not been made public in years past on the PGA Tour. So some positive initiatives by the PGA Tour to make this, again, a fan-forward product on the PGA Tour, and this could be a pivotal year in 2025.
Yeah, name and shame when it comes to slow play, Todd. A little bit of accountability never hurt anyone. I mean, this all sounds really, really positive. Sounds like hopefully some changes are coming and they've already begun. But realistically, Todd, do you think in the next 18 to 24 months or so, are we really talking about a radical change coming on the PGA Tour in terms of the fan experience, or, you know, they're just going to sort of tread slowly?
Well, that's an interesting thing. Radical, that may be a big word here, but I would expect to see some subtle, maybe even some bigger changes to the PGA Tour, and here's why. First off, the fans want this, and the PGA Tour is listening to the fans. Now, they have to have the proper balance. Sure, the fans may want these things, but they need to have the proper balance from the players, too. The players have to buy in. And I can tell you that the players that I've talked to on the PGA Tour, whether it's on the Player Advisory Committee or on the PGA Tour Policy Board, they are listening to the fans, and they are very much engaged and trying to inform their fellow members out here on the PGA Tour to be fan-forward as well. So I think some of these actions will obviously be positive for the fans, but it may be positive for the tour players as well. For instance, being transparent with player performance in regards to pace of play. If the public finds out that certain players are slow, then those players whose names are going to get out there, that's an accountability issue. I'm sure that they do not want to be shamed that way, and they will try to increase their pace of play. So could be a lot of positives coming out of this year.